That's enough out of you, imposter. I'm no imposter. I'm literally you. Then where's your Autobot insignia? Oh, right. You got me there.
Sup guys, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at this imposter. So in this video, it's going to be a little different. Rather than doing a review, we're going to do a little comparison of which one's a better buck for your bang, or bang for your buck. So, Studio Series Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime. Love it or hate it, this figure is highly sought after nowadays. Because, well, first of all, there was a new movie that was coming out. Second of all, this figure is of course Optimus Prime. And third of all, people want an Optimus Prime. Especially when a new movie's coming out. At the time prior to this figure's release, your options were either the mainline Optimus or to go back 4 years, well, at that time it was 4 years, to the Bumblebee movie Optimus. But nah, this guy was a better option, as he does look exactly like what he looked like in the movie. And the transformation and articulation was a little bit simplified, unlike the Studio Series Bumblebee movie Optimus. But there was only one problem. This guy was a Target exclusive. And you know what that means. This guy got rare because there was either 3 or in like 2 or 3 Targets or across the US. There was at least 6 of them. Predominantly, it was either 1 or none. And the demand got so high that Target had to cancel all of the orders and shipments for this figure. Pain. Now, this guy is going to get a re-release into the main line of Studio Series, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. And there is set to be a Japanese release of this guy too. But other than that, your best bet would be the knockoff. Now, right about a month after the original Studio Series Optimus Prime's cancellation, a knockoff company made short work of producing mass amounts of knockoffs of this figure. And you can get them for about a good 25 bucks on AliExpress, or at least that's as high as it goes. And to be honest, that's a really, really good deal for this figure. And as you can see, he looks a lot like the Studio Series Optimus Prime. Look at this comparison. You can't tell the difference unless you look at the shoulders. But first, let's take a look at both of the figures' packagings. Now, for the official Hasbro product of Optimus, you get this yellow Buzzworthy Bumblebee box, in which this kind of sucked. As with the Buzzworthy Bumblebee, they're marketed towards a more G1 artwork, and this would have been much better if there was at least some live-action Transformers artwork right here. There wasn't necessarily any need for this, however, this is the Buzzworthy Bumblebee, so yeah. And at least they did show Optimus Primal, but this is Optimus Prime we're talking about, not Optimus Primal. Yeah, whenever Studio Series Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime comes out in the main line, I might consider getting him mint and sealed in the box, cause why not? And as for the knockoffs box, well, it's a little bit smaller. And hey, at least it shows the figure, but as you can see, the box on mine is a little bit busted. Because when you get stuff from AliExpress, 9 times out of 10, the boxes are going to get a little busted, which kind of sucks. But yeah, and on the back is like pretty much the same thing. But anyways, taking a look at the two figures, the painting and sculpting is pretty much the same. However, the red and blue paint scheme on this figure is a little bit darker than the red and blue paint scheme on this guy, as well as the crutch on the original Optimus being molded with blue, whereas with the crutch on the knockoff is made out of die-cast metal. And of course, you got to include a die-cast metal part on your knockoff. Why not? It's cool. I like it. Spinning to the back, there also is some more differences between the two. Most notably on the knockoff, the back was not painted, whereas with the original Studio Series Optimus, there was a little bit of paint added onto the back. You could see that with some blue shades on the tabs, whereas this guy not so much. Oh, and for some reason the latches on the back right here are completely different. The molded plastic for the knockoff was gray, whereas the molded plastic with the original was blue, so keep that in mind. And the wheels on the original do have these 2 slots right here which don't do anything, whereas with the knockoff it's all molded in together very nicely. And with the original Optimus Prime, I feel the mechanical detail on the thighs or in other parts are a little bit more realistic in a way, whereas with the knockoff it looks a little bit more smudged. I don't know, that's just an observation that I made. Now when I ordered the knockoff from AliExpress, I was hoping for the metallic silver repaint, but I got the original. Oh no, I just realized I did not have my mic plugged in. Shoot. Okay, sounds much better. But as I was saying, I guess it's better that I got the original one with the grayish sort of paint, as it would have crushed the comparison with this guy in between this guy, as the metallic silver would have made things a little bit better. Now, quality-wise, this guy has a fair amount of quality. Not too tight, not too loose, well, except for some places like this or this. But other than that, the quality is actually pretty nice on this guy. Whereas with this guy, the joints are stiff all over the place. Except here for some reason. And here. Whereas everything else is very tight. From the wrists, to the head, to even the knees, too. Even the feet are a little tight. That's probably because I haven't messed around with this guy enough for all the joints to loosen out. Unlike this guy. Oh, and there was a report where this one guy got the figure with the box, but this arm broke off. However, I don't think that was because he moved it around. It just came in broken. But I don't know. Yet again, I still recommend you to be careful when moving the shoulders. Oh, and for some reason on my knockoff copy, when I try to move the shoulders, that sort of combusts. And that is used for transformation. Now, for a little shake test. Yeah, with the app crunch, this guy does, crunch like that, I guess. Same thing goes for this guy, actually. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for quality. Quality, honestly, would have to go for this guy. He's a little bit easier to play with. Whereas this guy, nah. But since a metallic silver repaint is available to purchase, the paint scheme goes to this guy. And for accessories, let's take a look at the swords. On the left is the original, and on the right is the knockoff. As the original does have a darker shade of silver paint, whereas this guy not so much. And the tabs on the original are blue. The originals plug in real easily, whereas with the knockoffs, takes a little bit more force. Removing the sword is very easy on the original, but a little bit more hard on the knockoff. And then the same thing with weapon storage. However, I do appreciate that the sword holds better on the knockoff than it does in the original. On the original, it's more prone to moving around a lot when messing with this guy while the sword is on the back. Now, with the Stinger cannons, they look somewhat identical, but showing a comparison between the two, you should be able to spot the differences. Arm cannon on the original tabs in perfectly well, with a little bit of force. But on the knockoff, it does take a little bit of stiffness to tab it in. Actually, you know what? The knockoff's pretty easy to tab in. Unlike this guy. This guy had a little bit more force to put along with. However, untabbing the gun on the original is a little bit easier than on the knockoff. Now, for some reason on the knockoff is that it takes a little bit of force to move the arm out, or the hand out. Oh, and by the way, this is something you can do, as the tab does fit into that slot right there. And both of them have a weapon storage. Now, to my surprise, with the knockoff, they did not downscale the smokestacks. In which, since this is a knockoff company, they have the allowance to do that, I'm sure, but decided not to. Me, personally, I'm okay with the big smokestacks. However, there's some people out there that really are bothered by this. However, I do believe there's an upgrade kit that covers all of that. I might consider getting that upgrade kit, might not too sure. But anyways, both figures have the same articulation and same transformation. There's nothing different between the two. So I'm just gonna skip the articulation, size comparison, and transformation. Anyways, here we have both the figures in their alternate modes, and there's not much of a difference. As you can see, both of the figures look seemingly identical in alternate mode. Even when you turn to the back, you can't necessarily tell the difference unless you see the gray piece over here, which is not on here. Now, transformation was pretty much the same thing, but for quality and enjoyment of transforming them, definitely has to go with the original. The knockoff was a little bit difficult to transform, as there were some stiff joints to the figure. And with the knockoff, these guys refuse to close in together, so yeah, that kind of sucks. Weapon storage, as you can see, is pretty much the same thing, and the kibble is pretty much the same thing as well. Sheesh. However, with the original, these pieces are a little bit more loose, in which they're more prone to closing in case you touch them accidentally with your fingers. Whereas with this guy, the smokestacks are a little bit more stiff on the knockoff, which is much appreciated. So with the stiff quality on the smokestacks, makes things less prone to close in case you ever find your fingers resting on the smokestack. Other than that, I'm not sure what else to talk about with these guys for alternate mode. Comment down below which one you think looks best, even though they're basically the same thing. Anyways, I think that's pretty much all I had to say for this guy. Now, which one's better? Not going to include accessories and alternate mode because they're basically the same thing. But first and foremost, quality goes to the original. Whereas with the knockoff, the price point definitely goes to the knockoff. And paint scheme, because there is a metallic silver repaint of this guy that you can get for around 25 bucks on AliExpress, whereas this guy, he's expensive. So financially, this guy would be your best bet, as he's pretty cheap. But if you want one to mess around with a fun and enjoyable quality, it has to be the original. However, I'm sure since this figure is only around 25 bucks, people are going to get this, despite how stiff some of the joints are. But in some places, you can actually rearrange the joints. So yeah, honestly, it would be the knockoff, as the knockoff is basically like $10 cheaper than how much this guy would go for retail. But for now, this guy goes for astronomical prices, so yeah. The knockoff's your best bet. Or you could get the Bayway knockoff, which is set to come out sometime this year. Hopefully there's plenty of repaints of that knockoff, like a Nemesis Prime repaint, a Shattered Glass Optimus Prime repaint, and a Ultra Magnus white and blue repaint. If Bayway were in fact to do 3 other repaints of their knockoff of the Studio Series Optimus Prime, I would definitely get every single one of them, and most likely go broke because I'm a sucker for Optimus. And Optimus repaints, especially when it's an Ultra Magnus, Nemesis Prime, and definitely Shattered Glass Optimus Prime repaint. Seeing this guy but in purple paint scheme, don't remind me. Well, anyways, if you like what you saw in this video, be sure to slam that like button, share this with your friends, turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss another video, and most importantly, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. We're doing magnificently on this channel. Thank you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. See ya!